West Cork, nestling in the southwest corner of Ireland, is an area of outstanding natural beauty, with richly varied land and seascapes. Emerald green pastures roll down to the blue Atlantic Ocean, dotted with rocky bays and coves, and onward to the craggy peaks of the west. Just 8 kilometers northwest of Cork City lies the little village of Blarney, dominated by the magnificent Blarney Castle. Standing 26 meters high, it was built in 1446 by Cormac McCarthy, then chief of the McCarthy clan. Set in the wall below the battlements is the world-famous Blarney stone. It is said that kissing the stone would give you the gift of eloquence, hence the expression, the gift of the Blarney. Does it work? You'll just have to find out for yourself. The castle itself is situated in beautiful landscaped parkland, and a relaxing stroll around the grounds will reveal many varieties of trees and shrubbery. The pretty village of Blarney was in the 18th and 19th centuries an important linen and wool processing centre. Bandon, or Bandon Bridge as it was properly known, was founded by the great Earl of Cork, Richard Boyle, in 1608. On our way into the town, we see the old Methodist church. The slow-moving river, as it flows eloquently through the town, could be said to reflect the relaxed pace of life of many of Bandon's citizens. The traditional colour of the shop fronts and the floral displays all add to Bandon's charm. Steady as you go. Bandon has a mix of many interesting architectural styles, a number of unusual characters, unusual buildings, relics from the past, such as this old water pump, and indeed, a few unusual colours too. Wherever you go, you seem to be on a hill. On the top of one such hill, we found the oldest surviving Church of Ireland church in the country. This magnificent building was erected in 1610. A statue to Sean Hayes, TD, Member of Parliament, stands outside the post office. The 1798 rebellion led by Wolfe Tone is also commemorated here. Michael Collins was one of the great heroes in the Irish struggle for independence from Britain from 1916 to 1922. The big fellow, as he was affectionately known, was born at Woodfield near Clonakilty, where there is now a memorial to him. He was ambushed and killed at Bailnamlaw in 1922 at the tender age of 31. The site of his death is marked today by a memorial cross. An interesting fact about the town of Ballinascarty is that Henry Ford's father, William, was born in this little village and was forced to emigrate to America in 1847 by the Great Famine. However, his memory lives on here, and this GAA football ground still bears his name. This green field is all that remains now of the ancestral homestead. Many traditional Irish songs were inspired from that time of famine and oppression, and they can be still heard performed all over Cork today. beautiful coastal town of Kinsale is known with very good reason as the culinary capital of Ireland. This is the courthouse, which houses the museum. Restaurants of every description abound, from the traditional to those catering for the alternative palate. Seafood is, of course, a speciality, and the day's catch could end up on your plate literally minutes after being landed. Kinsale is a very cosmopolitan town, not only full of tourists, but also home to many foreign residents who came once on holiday and found it too nice to leave. The narrow entrance to Kinsale Harbour is guarded by two imposing 17th century forts. James Fort on the western side of the estuary, and here on the eastern approach lies the extensively restored Charles Fort, dating from the 1670s. Designed by William Robinson, architect of the Royal Hospital in Kilmainham in Dublin, it was constructed to the classic star-shaped plan of the period. Cannons lined each wall at intervals, and their bastions can still be seen today. Charles Fort was constructed primarily to keep foreign naval forces from entering Kinsale, which was an important trading port. It was continually upgraded and improved throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, and it may surprise you to know that it was in use right up to the foundation of the Irish Free State in 1922. The old head of Kinsale lies to the east of the town, a long, reeky headland jutting out to the sea. It was within sight of here that the liner the Lusitania was torpedoed in 1915, with the loss of almost 1,200 lives. Due to its prominent location, it has been home to lighthouses throughout history. Sandy Cove is one of many varied beaches which dot the West Cork shoreline. Garrettstown is a popular seaside resort west of the old head of Kinsale, offering a safe, sheltered beach and scenic cliff walks. Cherry, flanked by a wooded shoreline, is a sea-angling centre of note. Timoleague Abbey, dating from the 13th century, was for some time one of the most important religious houses in Ireland. It was inhabited by the Franciscan order and was built on the site of an earlier monastery founded by Saint Mollaga. Hence the name, Timoleague, Tai Mollaga in Gaelic, which, when translated, means the House of Mollaga. Just outside Carberry, on the coast road, lies one of the jewels of Cork, Mizenhead Bay. The crystal clear waters lapping the white sandy beach make this a popular tourist destination. The attractive town of Clonakilty is an ideal base for touring the West Cork area. Its narrow streets are flanked by brightly coloured buildings, many of them enticing pubs and restaurants. An imposing statue of a pikeman stands guard over the town centre. Beautiful flowers abound throughout the town, rivaling the buildings for intensity of colour. This small church is the local post office. The unassuming town of Carberry is set at the head of a sandy inlet adjacent to several sandy beaches, including Long Strand and Mizenhead. The town's colourful charm is encapsulated in its fine buildings, and indeed in the warm welcome from its residents. As in much of West Cork, the gourmet visitor is well catered for, and may well be enticed to prolong his or her stay in this delightful corner of Ireland. The tranquil waters of Bantry Bay lap the shores of what was once one of the most important monastic centres of Ireland, rivaling those of Glendalough and Clonmacnoise. The first monastic settlement in Carberry was founded by St. Fachna in the 6th century. It was here that he established a famous school, and Carberry at this time became a renowned seat of learning and place of pilgrimage. Indeed, at this time, Ross was the principal monastery of the district. St. Fachna is honoured and revered throughout the local community to this day, and on the 15th of August each year, St. Fachna's Day, many people still follow the traditional rounds of the local holy sites. This is Warren Strand, another of the secluded gems of West Cork. Coppinger's Court near Carberry is a beautiful example of a fortified house set in this narrow, fertile valley. Dating from the first half of the 17th century, its elegance conceals its real defensive strength. It has been described as one of the most striking buildings of this kind to be found in Ireland. On the Carberry to Glandore Road, a signpost will direct you to the Drumbeg Stone Circle, one of many which dotted West Cork in ancient times, but one of the best preserved in existence today. Macroom is a busy market town on the banks of the Sulan River. The imposing entrance to the castle is still standing, and it is here that the father of William Penn lived for a time. Large cannons keep watch over the town square. sister villages of Glandore and Union Hall lie on opposite sides of a hilly inlet. Glandore, on the eastern side, lays claim to having been the first holiday resort in West Cork, a tradition undiminished by the passage of time. The seafront area reverberates to the sound of splashing holidaymakers, making good use of the safe sandy bay, or just enjoying the summer sun. Today, Glandore is home to many of the yachting fraternity. But did you know that the first regatta to take place west of the old head of Kinsale was held here, way back in September 1830? Union Hall, situated across the harbour from Glandore, is linked to it by a long, narrow bridge. More tranquil than its bustling neighbour, Union Hall is too dominated by its maritime tradition. All kinds of marine activity abound, from commercial fishing to pleasure boating, angling for the enthusiast, and not forgetting the more energetic visitor. Castle Town's End nestles on the side of a hill. At the bottom lies the old castle, still residential. With a fine view of the harbour. These steps lead up to the little church of St. Barahan, where Edith Somerville and co-author Martin Ross were buried. Edith Somerville, born in Corfu in 1858, grew up in her home, Drishan, near Skibbereen, which was the Somerville family home at Castle Town's End. With her cousin, Violet Martin, she began a literary partnership under the name Somerville and Ross. They published 14 titles, including The Real Charlotte, Some Experiences of an Irish R.M., and Irish Memories. Somerville, though she never married, lived to be 90. Overlooking the village is the Somerville House. Further up the narrow inlet from Castle Town's End lies Reneen. The tiny harbour of Baltimore is the main gateway for the ferries which ply between the mainland and Cape Clear and Sherkin Island. It is popular with water sports enthusiasts and has a long history of boat building. In fact, the first boat to carry the Irish flag around the world, the Saoirse, was built here in the 1920s. Clear Island in Roaring Water Bay is a rugged yet beautiful location. A regular ferry service from Baltimore connects it with the mainland. The old 19th century lighthouse is now a ruin and has been replaced by the Fastnet light further out to sea. Cape Clear is a Gaeltacht area, that is, one where Gaelic or Irish is the spoken language. The scenic terrain attracts many visitors, both day trippers and longer stay holidaymakers, many of whom camp on the island. This is Cape Clear Museum, and its curator, Nora Edishol.
Welcome to Carberry Museum. We are standing here at the old schoolhouse once upon a time in Carberry. When the school removed south to the other part of the island, this went in a derelict. There was a priest came to the island at that time who took interest in the island, and there Thomas O'Moroho, who was known in Paris and Cork. He started work with the company, cleaned up everything, got everything in their way, voluntary labour from the island, and there as it is today.
The peace and tranquility of the island make it an ideal holiday destination.
Oh, son, I loved my native land where
Skibbereen is a thriving town, widely regarded as the capital of West Cork. It has a somewhat cosmopolitan reputation, and it's an important trading centre for the people of the surrounding area. Its winding streets echo to the constant sound of traffic, both tourist and local. Overlooking the colourful village of Ballydehob are the 12 arches of the old railway bridge, a relic of the now disused Skibbereen to Schull railway line.
And that's the cruel reason why I left old Skibbereen.
The little town of Schull rests below Mount Gabriel in the southwest of the county. And after a hard day's fishing, where better to discuss the one that got away than over a pint of Murphy's in one of Schull's cosy pubs. It is immensely popular with both the yachting fraternity and sea anglers, who come from all over Europe in search of the big one. Fastnet Light guards the sailors of Crookhaven amongst others. Its sheltered inlet is overlooked by the famous Marconi radio station, erected in 1902. And a brisk climb up here is rewarded with a magnificent view over the coast. The harbour area is, as ever, the focus of much activity. Cove is one of West Cork's premier beaches, a broad sweep of golden sand washed by Atlantic breakers. Mizenhead is the most southerly point on mainland Ireland. The old lighthouse on the near vertical cliffs is now a museum. Driving north along the Mizzen Peninsula, you will encounter Dunmanus Castle, a 15th century edifice perched atop an ice-ground ridge of rock A fine example of a tower house, it is one of the ancestral homes of the O'Mahony clan. A plaque commemorates the late Owen O'Mahony, who initiated the annual O'Mahony clan gatherings at the various O'Mahony castles. Continuing northwards along the Mizzen Peninsula, you will be struck by the wild splendor of your surroundings. In all directions, jagged peaks rise majestically from stunning seascapes, and you will be invigorated by the fresh Atlantic air. Passing Garnish Island and its oil storage facility on your left, you will approach the inner reaches of Bantry Bay. Bantry Bay and the town of Bantry, another of County Cork's attractive seaside towns. A browse through the local market could unearth some strange treasures, and some even stranger sellers. Up the slopes behind the town is Bantry House, which is open to the public. Surrounded by magnificent landscape gardens, this stately Georgian house contains a treasure trove of art from around the world. The collection was assembled by the former Earls of Bantry, mostly in the early 19th century, and Bantry House is still occupied by the White family. The spectacular gardens boast an unrivaled view of the bay. Some of the plants here can be grown only in this corner of Ireland due to the warming effects of the Gulf Stream, which laps the coast of this part of West Cork.
I'm a canny young man, and a roving young fellow I'll be. Oh, be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day.
A drive through the glacially cut pass of Kinnamay, the pass of the Deer's Step, brings us to the stunning surroundings of Gugon Barra, whose dark lake lies in this steep valley. Here, St. Finbar, founder of the city of Cork, had his hermitage.
I'm a man you don't meet every day. Now come fill up your glasses with brandy and wine, and whatever the cost I will pay. But be easy and free when you're drinking.
At the far end of the lake is Gugon Barra National Park, an area of outstanding natural beauty, where clear, cold streams gurgle between tree-lined mountains. Here, you will find signposted the source of the River Lee, which flows down through to the city of Cork. The Beara Peninsula is one of the most beautiful coastal areas of West Cork. The drive along the coast road south from Glengariff yields spectacular views of the rocky shores and across Bantry Bay to the peaks opposite. Back from the shore, the hills rise less steeply, and some hardy locals make their living tilling the hilly but fertile soil. The further south you travel, the more dramatic and brooding becomes the landscape. Mountains rise more steeply, and cliffs drop vertically into the crashing Atlantic rollers below. You will not need much reminding that you are at Europe's western outpost.
Be easy and free when you're drinking with me. I'm a man you don't meet every day.
Turning off the coast road at Adrigole, a mountain road snakes through the Caha Mountains en route to the Healy Pass, an area of outstanding beauty. Here the mountain tops become more rounded and less severe. Avid hill walkers will find the surrounding peaks a testing but not insurmountable challenge. And, as always, suitable clothing and footwear should be worn. If you manage to scale these heights, not only will you find yourself closer to God, you'll also end up on the scenic border between Cork and the most southerly county in Ireland, the Kingdom of Kerry. Beyond the scenic Beara Peninsula is the small town of Castletownbere. Although it may be a small town, it is home port to the second largest fishing fleet in Ireland after Killybegs and Donegal. Not surprisingly, seafood is the speciality in these parts. Past Castletownbere, towards the end of the Beara Peninsula, the craggy island of Dursey comes into view. Belted by the wild Atlantic on one side and washed by a dangerous tidal race on the other, the safest access to the island is by cable car. Dursey Island has the distinction of having the only cable car in Ireland. The seascapes from the island are dramatic. On the northern side of Beara is the village of Eries, a copper mining town. The rocky shores of Sheepshead Bay. Glengariff, situated at the head of the bay amongst woodlands, is the last village in West Cork before you cross into Kerry. A bustling location where boating has become almost second nature to the locals. Where better to end our trip around West Cork than Garnish Island? A short boat trip gets you to the island, with some surprises along the way. The island was cultivated and turned into a garden over a period since 1910 by its owner John Allen Bryce. Garnish Island is home to many exotic plant species and even boasts a formal Italian garden among its peaceful wooded walks. You could be forgiven for thinking you were in the Italian Lake District rather than in a beautiful bay in southwest Ireland. The views are magnificent, and this island will leave you with memories of West Cork forever. We return on the Garnish ferry to Glengariff to relax in the peace and tranquility and enjoy the glorious sunset that only West Cork can supply. We hope you've enjoyed this journey with us through the rugged splendor that is West Cork.